Alright, audio check. See if that's any good. Probably not. Because, hey, this software wasn't encoded by me, so it can't be any good. Alright, Lars Johnson. Johannesson, or is it Johannesson or Johnson? Marcel, Van der Broek, Ed, Werner Lemon, Stuart, Paul Howe, Gustavo's here, hello. Puff Bow. Don't know if I've seen you around here before. Welcome if you're new. Jacob Anderson and Matthew Fox. Alright. Let's see. Robin van den Adai. That's catching me out, that name. I'm trying to put it in the Afrikaans or Dutch. I'm getting it all wrong. Alright. Hey Carl Justin. Hey Rescue, Ben, Jim. Crikey, everybody's getting here. Old guy from Scotland. And I probably sound completely off accent there. I gotta look through this A1425 that I got yesterday. I finally got some more details on it. So apparently battery data issues and random restarts. Could be anything. As soon as anything says random, you know you're gonna be in for hell for the most part. We'll give it a bit more of a digging in. I did work on the 1502 that I had, which we declared as a battery keyboard fault. There's a little bit more of a story behind it, so yeah, it's a little bit more of a mess. I think what happened is we had a keyboard fault combined with touchpad damage, combined with just a whole bunch of things. Alright, this is going to be hell. Hey Brian. Baltic Electronics from Lithuania. Welcome. And Serbia, good. We've got most of the EU here and a few places outside of the EU, so that's good going. Alright, let's get this hellish 1425 out. Really, this is like the very worst of Apple all together in a single machine. I think even the 2915s were better. Simply from a design perspective, it was just unfortunate they had dodgy GPUs in them, of course. Wasn't their fault, was it? I'm sure the GPU company said, yeah, just use this, we'll be fine. And then, oops, sorry, looks like our fab process didn't quite get it right and we put the wrong kind of chip substrate on there. Our bad. Maybe it was a plan by the PC companies to make Apple look bad. You never know. Marcel van der Broek. Van der Broek's also Dutch, right? Nah, it's all sort of like the Dutch Germanic, isn't it? Just pretty much covers 2/3 of Europe. Why don't you want to come off? So with intermittence, yeah, there's no real fun in that. And this battery makes it very difficult to actually get into these boards. Yeah, Kristen's pretty much everyone is here. Vogon's here, hello. And Rexo Gamer. Yeah, wait and see if Farnell comes along. Yes, 1425 is not a... Okay, I got a missing screw already, so we're off to a good start. We've got more missing screws. This is just going to be... Could we say a screw up? It's pretty weird to have these tiny fans though. You're just not used to seeing such tiny little fans. Let's get this DCM. It really does not feel like what I would consider to be a standard sort of MacBook design. It just feels like they had some random engineers from a different place entirely and they did a bit of a bad job, so they got fired, thankfully. Honestly, it's almost like ASUS designed this one. It's that bad. Do you think you'll have to repair the new Mac Pro soon? I have my doubts. Particularly around here, most people are still holding on to, yeah, I mean, even the 17 series, let alone the 19 series. No one's really doing a lot of upgrading. I mean, I'm still kept very busy most days with iPhone 6 and 6S's, so yeah, that will sort of give you a bit of an idea on what the market's like here. Yeah, terrible heatsink setup. I think the hardest thing with the 1425 is getting all the flexes out from behind the battery here. Just does not want to comply. And for those of you expecting me to get certain machines delivered, like have sent them on their way and waiting for me to do them on stream, unfortunately the postal service has just gone completely to trash, and everything's taken at least 3 days longer than usual. I've only done one keyboard replacement for late 2012 MacBook Pro 13-inch Retina. It went very smoothly, but I wouldn't go out of my way to repeat the experience. Yeah, I agree, Nick. To the point where these days I just buy the top decks with keyboards included. Like, it's $150 for me to buy a top deck with keyboard, or it's $38, maybe $40 to buy the keyboard alone. And my sanity is worth that extra $110 I'm spending. Not to mention the time, because it takes me usually more than an hour to do a reasonable job, because you don't do it often enough. Okay. Finally getting you out. Okay, oh crikey. One fan free. Looks like we've got liquid damage on this fan here. This connector was crimped under the board. Marvellous. That's probably flux, I'm guessing. Yeah, so we've got all the liquid junk there. So something went for a good fly up in the shooter. Alrighty. Fun and games. Chances are it's probably got bad battery issues as well, and well, that kind of puts it up the creek when it comes to this. I don't think I can get batteries for this one. Hey Sabatino. Dingoes have invaded the postal service. It would seem like that for you. Yeah, rescue exactly, which definitely why I don't mind paying the price. That looks something like milk, coffee, whatever. Either way, it's not nice. So if we've got something intermittent, it could be corrosion. Yeah, just something borderline. This has been worked on. I have no idea what that is. I wonder if... Okay, we've got RAM being reflowed. Okay, looks like we've got some rework down here. Yeah, and there's... Okay, so we must have had some corrosion messing around up here. So I might take all these off and have another look. Unfortunately, I have certainly found when it comes to prior repair work, it's more often than not better just to strip everything that has been done off and do it again. Alright, the SMC has been reflowed, complete with leaving the edge bonding there, because we're going to put that back on later, are we? Alright. Not sure why the SMC would have been reflown. Reflown? Reflowed. I guess it was a bit of a, well, let's see what happens type attempt. Maybe there was corrosion around it. Can't see anything still remaining. Sabatino, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, coffee is something I definitely always will appreciate, so thank you very much for that. It's interesting, this ream chip is different to the others, it seems. See how these ones, when you tilt them up, it highlights the text, but that one does not. Not that I'm reading much into that, but it's just interesting to note that it is different. Yes, Tranquil, back to the 1425. So we'll check the top side. But yeah, these 1425s, they remind me of earlier SUSE laptops. I could be wrong, but that current sense resistor kind of looks a little beaten. It just looks like it's taken a bit of a hit, but that could be just me. Then again, that one's not much better, so it's probably just me. Wait, where's this chip? It's directly under there. This is always a laugh for me. You get these inductors, these filters, and they've got the notch taken out of them. And the first time you see those around, you think that they've actually physically damaged. And you go, haha, I found the fault. And it's not. It's just the way they trimmed them. Something's been butchered down there. Actually, this CPU's been cooked. Look at that. See that? Too much heat has been around here, and yeah, I'm taking this heatsink off. This one might be going into the get stuff, not going to do it pile. I mean, it doesn't take much to cook that plastic film off the top of the CPU. But I just don't like the fact that it has had that happen. Yeah, Pernov can appreciate what I'm talking about, yes. That has been off because there was no bottom hole in the CPU plastic cover. It's one thing to melt it, it's another thing to put a hole in it. Yay! It's certainly seen a bit too much heat around there. More than what I'm comfortable with anyway. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'd probably say this is the fault area, the intermittent part. Okay, so we've got our 4-wire sense resistor, and it's fried this, and the main problem I've got is that should have been replaced. That poor middle leg there is on the verge of death. Look at that, and it's probably not even contacted properly. It's chewed out. Yeah. So this I would say is... Oh, it's not even... Watch this. This is going to come up. There we go. Oh, hello. I don't need to be soldered to the board. I just do things through magic. Yeah, okay. That's our fault. Magic parts that don't need legs touching pads. But yeah, someone's been attacking this with a 500 centigrade Rehab, or I mean UHI or whatever it is, hot air station that does not have enough thermal transfer capacity, and instead they're just flamethrower it and ruin everything. The wiring job wasn't the problem there before, because it's only a you can get away with. Let me just get the heat up on this. Yeah, these endpoints on the resistor, they're only just transferring microamps of current, so that's not a problem. So that was alright. But I'm still going to redo it. This poor thing. That wasn't even close to soldered. I was about to give up on this board too, because I was thinking, oh hell. Mind you, I probably should still give up on it. If it's not going to be this, it'll be something else next week. Oops. My trashy bench. Hey Tech Mechanic. Hey Steve K. Alright, so let's try and make this a little bit better at least. Let's see, is that actually under the resistor, or is that just touching the side there? I'm going to redo it anyway. I can't be sure where it is. I think it's actually under it. It's not really the right place to put them if it's under it. That's not what you want to do. Main reason why you don't want your wire, although, okay, in this case it's not a big problem, kind of. Main reason you don't want your wire underneath one of these current sense resistors is because it disturbs, it puts a big gap between the resistor and the pads that they're meant to, the power's meant to go through. And that can cause excessive resistance through the solder, the thickness of the solder. And it might not seem like much, but remember, at high currents, 1 milliohm is more than enough to cause a fair bit of heat and make these things desolder themselves. So ideally you have them as flat to the board as possible. Thanks Travis Stamper. By the way, with the open board data I am expanding things quite a bit, so there's going to now be a nested notes section. So like say we've got the 00165 board, there'll be a preliminary notes section, just an overarching view of talking about the board, and then there will be subsections that people can create on whim. It's not predefined. Pardon me, and it'll be nested. So, and you expand out the sections for maybe different types of failures, like one-wire failures or beeping or whatever, and it will just expand out, and people can put in their own information or little stories about the board and things like that. I'm just sorting out the data format now. Well, actually, I kind of have decided on data format. I'm sorting out the parser for it. But the text format itself should be fairly simple still. You won't need to be a genius to work it out. You just, when it's ready, I'll put it up and everyone have a look. I'm hoping this resistor's still okay. I probably should check. Okay. And I need to get another one of those little chips, which are just probably op amp. 3462. No, what? sense leg of the resistor is faulty. No, I think you're just picking up. Yeah, I mean it hasn't bedded in properly. I'll have a check. I'll scrape it back a little bit, not much, but it might just be a bit of tarnish on it, as opposed to broken. Yeah, easy way to find out. Just a resistance check. That's pretty much zero. My meter has about a 0.4 ohm resistance in the leads. It's just a tarnish, because you can see how this portion here has sort of slid over, and that's what that is. That said, the leg is not actually bedded into the solder properly, so that does need to be sorted out. It's got a bit of a head in pillow type effect. Okay. Okay, Sonia, welcome. Alright, we need to get another one of those parts. Oh, what board did I say this is? 3462. Of course it is. I should know that. No. 3462. So there's a resistor. U5410. There. And you are, yeah, an A1425. Okay, so we'll copy that. Settings. Search, find a part. And paste. Damn it, I need to come up with a better way of doing this. These things are everywhere. It should be on pretty much every board out there. Okay. The test for me is to find a board that doesn't have it on. That would be talent. Let's see, well, I've pulled out a 3437, so let's see if it's on one of those. Yeah, it's on a 3437. Where do you... I've got current sense. Alright. I should actually be able to just spot them. God, this is a horrible board. Honestly, sometimes donors are just not worth being donors. They're just so badly beaten up. So I don't think I want to take any parts at all from that one. I think I should just trash that board. I think the only reason I've got that board is because it's still got a BIOS chip on it, and that's it. Euro 165. Yeah, 165 will have them. So we'll just bring up a 165. INA 214. INA 214. U5450. Ah. Plot twist. No stuff. Fair enough. 214. U5470. Other side of the board pull. Yeah, one of these, I think. These are all beaten up as well. Crikey, I've not had much luck. between the two blues. No, there are no stuff as well. Well, you're not on this board, to put it that way. It's supposed to be there, but it's not. Okay, let's try that one. 90, just next to the big camera RAM chip, and seriously? Alright, they're all no stuffs on the 3437s and 165s. Fantastic. Yeah, Iron A1425. I mean, it's not so much that I'm trying to be a cheapskate here, it's just that I just don't have any on hand. Let's see, 3662. I'll try one of those since I just pulled that out. Come on. Oh great, there is one there, and look at that, it's been smashed to death. Fantastic. Really? Is this what my luck's going to be like tonight? Okay, 5430. Up by the diagonal. Oh hallelujah, we've got one. Finally. Oh, that was a drama and a half. So on the boards we thought we had them on, they didn't even exist. And then we found them, and they were smushed. Oh, at least this one's good. Actually, if that's I might steal that current sense resistor as well, if that's any good. I'll have to go back and check to see what size I actually do need. But the downside of removing these parts, of course, is they're on fairly, or the nearby fairly hefty ground plane stuff or power planes, so crikey, this is really, that was really struggling. Okay, we'll stick there. And we'll just have a look and see what the 3462. So R5410. Ah, crud. It's a 3 milliohm, so that's no good. We can't use that board, so we'll have to stick with this one. Now, it might not seem like a big difference, 3 to 5 milliohm, but it's more than enough to cause an issue. Hey, fix it, Pro. Alright, so pin 1 is up the top. So we want to orientate it like such. And we will make sure that it actually flows onto the board, rather than not flowing onto the board. And what do you know, it's soldered. Alright, now we've got to put a couple of little wires there. So we've got people talking about wiki pages. You should be thankful that they've put these chips right next to the current sense resistors, because in other designs they feed them through vias. Oh, and you gotta go chase it through the motherboard and things like that. It's no fun at all. What's this? Hi, maybe you get this question often, but how did you get your first customer and how did you get started? Because I think it's very hard to get the first 10 or 100 customers in the business. Yeah, it's, I guess we've all got interesting stories on how we did that. In my case, my first customer actually forced themselves onto me for this sort of work. They turned up one day. They're one of my previous general Windows PC type customers, and they turned up one day with this A1425 with a 2936 board, and they said to me, it's not working anymore. It's like, it won't turn on or won't charge. Yeah, wouldn't turn on. And at that point I knew pretty much nothing about MacBooks as a general rule. I mean, it was definitely not in my usual market area, particularly in this town. And I did the usual thing. Then I replaced the DC in board, and that was no good, as in it didn't fix the fault. And at that point I realized it was going to require a bit more digging. And then I'm sad that I don't remember. Someone mentioned to me about the Rossman channel, and fortunately at that stage Lewis did have up some educational videos about the one wire circuit and things like that, and so I was able to get the idea of what I should be looking for. I didn't have any microscope equipment at that point. I did have a desktop magnifier. That was it. But fortunately it was enough, and it turned out to be the U6901 failure, classic sort of sys1 wire failure on the 2936. And once that was fixed, yeah, it was all good, and sort of things just flowed in. Video's a bit laggy. What sort of lag? Skippy skip thing? Okay, let me just shut down some stuff. Okay, how's that? I didn't have to do any topple kills, but the CPU meters dropped down to about 36% now, so hopefully that's improved things for everybody. Kill -9, that's where it's at. Now, I sure hope the CPU isn't dead. I guess it did sort of partially beat yesterday. I'm just not sure what to think about all the rest of the stuff. Maybe I should wait, ultrasonic it, see how it comes out. See if anything reveals itself as a fault. I'm thankful they didn't mess around with the SMC too much more, because I do not have a replacement. Okay, this area here is the area that does give me some concerns. Oh no, we're putting the board into vertical orientation. No one ever does that. Camera's foggy. I have to apologise. At this time of the night, my own vision tends to drift out from the rest of the camera. I'm going to put some flux down. I'm going to hit it with the hot air and see if I can see anything moving around that I don't want moving around. The nice thing is the flux does give me a bit more of a clearer visual, at least for a while it's there. Yeah, that doesn't feel secure, and that's because there's no pad under it. You too? Blimey heck. What's the point of putting caps there if there's nothing to put them on? Yeah, you at least do have pads there. Flippin' heck. Alright, so we've got issues here. Namely that we have no pads. There we go, we've still got issues with the stream. Okay, so that pad's goner. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, Nick, the 2012 A1425 boards, they're good for doing a refurb and resell. They've still got some good life in them. Drop an SSD into there, put 8 gigs into the one slot of the RAM and kick it out. And yeah, you make a good margin on them at least. Okay, we've got the evil orange blood coming out here. And everything's out of focus. Let me see. What I'm going to do is set it for the screen. So I'm going to lose you guys for a second while I maximize. Okay, set it for the screen. The stupid thing is, once I set it for the screen, I come back down here and I realize it is actually pretty good on my vision. Yep, that'll do. Yeah, we need some stem the bleeding stat. Oh, look at that mess. Glorious, hideous mess. That's some interesting fluid dynamics there. I could watch that all day. It's like, I don't know if you guys can see it. All the particles moving around. Okay, there's a veer under there. Well, that sucks. Looks like it was 2 veers. Oh, that's going to double suck. Crap. Okay, so we've got that one there. We've got a chance of getting that back. But whatever was down there, not so much. So we're going to have to... Yeah, it does look like gold flake. Well, we're about to find out, Stuart. So it's these two here, and yes, they are connected, thankfully. So what's their purpose? Okay, they're just general decoupling, so that's probably why it hasn't caused any major grief. Since the veer is bust on it, I would probably jumper it to either that there or that there, rather than trying to go back down into the veer. Braham, I'm in bed struggling with the flu. Zoom-ins are killing. Oh yeah, sympathy, mate. Gustavo, no fires around here, thankfully. There's just not enough. How could you say, bush activity, not enough fuel on the ground to truly produce scary fires around here. We will get the fires for sure, but not to the degree that they get in those other places. Maybe I can do this one. Just thinking if I put a bowl down there, I might be able to. What I should really be tackling is the corrosion on the... Damn it, this board does not sit flat. Make sure I've got absolutely none of that gold leaf stuff floating around. Yes, there's more of it up here. See how when you scratch it back, it produces like a pretty coloured rust. You don't want that. Believe me, it's out of focus for me too, so. Okay. Oh, damn it. So there's some on the other side as well. So we'll have to... So we get rid of those two caps and reconstruct the area a bit more. Maybe don't have to get rid of them, just turn them the other way. Yep, so there's more corrosion there. It's probably what it's like as a surgeon if you're trying to remove certain things. You just keep hacking back, and then eventually you find you've got half a patient left. Okay, this is bothering me here. This isn't right. That part is not meant to be there. The pad sizes are wrong. It's supposed to be a part this size. So maybe it is a resistor. It could be a divider. And the person's just put in a... So I think this is a 0201, this is a 0402. Yeah, here we are. It's divider pair. 3404, 3403. Okay, it's probably not critical. But it obviously has been replaced. Hey Nick, hey Giffney. Matthew, it's corrosion of the copper. It's turning to copper oxide. Don't ask me whether it's oxide 3 or 4, I don't know. I didn't major in chemistry, I'm afraid. The only chemistry I majored in was the chemistry in the bedroom. I could make some less than acceptable jokes about that. I'll try really hard not to. Hey, what the? Alright, I should be able to put a ball onto that. Maybe even a solder blob. We'll try to solder first. If that doesn't want to play a game, then we'll put a ball on. Yeah, that's a big butter. Big butter boom. I think maybe that's what they were trying to do with the previous attempt, but I don't think it ended up working out so well for them. Yeah, I deliberately did stick that there. The hell. This eyepiece is just completely and utterly useless. I need to get my eyepiece cleaner. Good on you, mate. I always feel nervous using these lens cleaner end kit things, because I fear one day I'm going to pick up the wrong thing and it's going to be a Sharpie pen or something like that. I'm going to put Sharpie all over my eyepieces. Real smart. I'm just can't see properly at the moment with the I should probably invest in much better eyepieces, higher quality, lower loss type eyepieces. These are just the standard ones that come with the Amscope. Let's see. Why'd YouTube hide the chemical equation balancing? There we go. 2 copper to oxide to 2 CO copper oxide. Thank you. Oh, Stroth, amazing. I can see a bit better now. A little. Sort of. Yeah, I'm still foggy-eyed. Alright, let's get ourselves a ball. Drop that on. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. How many did I pick up? 0. Let's try that again, shall we? How many did I pick up? One colossally large one. Alright. That truly is absurdly large, that one. Though it may serve a purpose here, it may actually end up becoming a bridging lump of solder to go between the two caps, so it'll be a win for us. Although it would seem it did not quite reach. How is it when you want a solder bridge to occur? Yeah. See if we can coax it. The dodgy brothers at work here. You gotta be kidding me, you don't want to... Alright. Alright, dodgy brothers have made another fine job here, yeah. Look at this, this is expert dodgy brothers soldering. Come on down, get dodgy brothers soldering. Yep. Let's see what happens when we reflow that solder. Whether it just gives up, or whether it does nice things. It's a little close to my liking to that ground plane. I'm just going to clean up this one. The ground pad there looks undesirable. People in their mid to late 40s will know what the Dodgy Brothers are from Australia. A TV show called Fast Forward, comedy show. Do not let that touch my capacitors. Crap. Why is it when you say one thing it happens when you don't want it to? I've really made this a lot more complicated than I needed to. More flux. And amusingly, probably not even going to be noticed by the board at all. It's going to be all like, what? Oh, 2 missing caps? No idea. Didn't realise. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't care though. There is a bridge. You watch it. What? Oh, what's going on here? I've been paid money into my account. What's... I'm worried that this little review is going to... What the hell? Okay. Jason's giving me hell right now. What? I shouldn't have watched... Review... What? Review of what? I'll yell at him. So I'm streaming now. I'm streaming, damn it. Interrupting me. You interrupting sheep. I'll tell him. Gotta be careful. He's a lot more famous than I am, so he could have me removed from the guild of the repairers. And I know that people like Lewis wouldn't stand up and try and save me. They'd just throw more fuel on the fire. What now? Yeah, now he apologises. It's okay, I get along with him. Bigger the blood, the better. Yeah, I think they're talking about flux in that case. This is the downside, is when you lose all the masking cover on the... It creates very interesting flow patterns. Now I am a little bit tormented by this here. I do want to reduce it slightly, so it's more of a concave bridge rather than a convex. Oh, convex bridge, I mean. I'm putting too much effort into this. Oh. For a second then I thought someone said that Anel had arrived. In which case we'd all have to run for the hills. Bugger. His idea was it to do that? Alright, so be it. I'll just run a little wire. Anel must be nearby. No, that's a piece of solder pull. Yes, concave. Caves in. Yeah, in life sometimes you get certain words or pairs of words that you just always seem to just can't seem to get a clear separation on, even if you have cute little word tricks like that, you know, concave, caves in, stuff like that. But then you're always second guessing your little tricks. What? The guy's name is Paul Daniels and think it was his idea? That guy. That's it. That's far more like it. I pity the fool that's going to have to deal with that later. You got customers? Okay, rescue. Well, thank you very much. All we're doing at this point is I'm pretty sure I fixed the intermittent fault because it was that CPU current sense. What? That's a piece of circuit board that just... a fiberglass circuit board cross just landed on this... Oh great. The religious nuts are gonna go nuts. You lousy little... Get off. Okay. Yes, this board has been blessed. Seriously? You can't tell me that's shorted. Okay, it's not. It's probably just capacitance in the board. Alright. It looks messier than what it originally started out with, because originally the caps were just nice and pretty, sitting there as if nothing was wrong with them. But we sure found out that wasn't the case. Now what I'm going to try and do here, for just a little bit more clearance and security, I'm going to shave away that little bit of copper there. Now this here is the section of the day where you probably later rue and lament the fact that you took that option, because you decided to take something that was working but not perfect and try to make it perfectly not working. And I need a new blade because that doesn't have a super fine tip on it. Some bastard's taken. Oh, come on, where are my box of blades? Ah, they're there. Hey, Dippy. Worked with wire wrapping pistols and boards in the 80s. Oh, man. I got myself a wire wrapping setup, but I never ended up really doing any real wire wrapping boards. I always thought it was quite impressive how they did it, but I think the cost of all the wire wrap sockets was the thing that killed me. So you can get a normal normal chip socket for 80 cents, or wire wrap for $3.80 or something like that. Anyway, it was an interesting technology at the time, and I mean they still do use it too, and the connections were really good too. I do remember that much about them, but I also remember being too expensive for me. It was easier just to use that awful brown prototyping board and drill the holes out. It was just disgusting stuff. Even to this day I see people make prototypes on those things and I'm like, oh, why? I think we've got a bit more of a clearance set now. It makes me happier. Yes, definitely going to cover that over with some green stuff. You can see now that it's got a much better clearance there, so I am happy about that. And there's a smidge left under there, but because it's disconnected from the rest of it, it's not going to... I got to take it out. Let's drive my OCD up the wall. There we go. Run free, little piece of copper, straight onto the RAM chip and cross between two balls. I dare you. Hey, fixing things? Hey, Dragon, I didn't see you there. Alright. Oh, that's right. There's that area near the CPU where it was cooked that we wanted to have a look at. That's right, because you were missing. Yes. Missing. That would be you. 3210. You're just a general 2.2 microfarad bypass. I would say in this case it is one of those situations where that is most likely probably not going to warrant the risk of putting it back. Like I said, the engineers do not precisely calculate every microfarad needed. What we do is we go, well, let's just put a dozen 2s, a dozen 20s, a dozen 0.2s, yeah, scatter them all over the board. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll add another dozen. And that genuinely is how it's done. There's no, let me calculate the impulse current and see what the required microfarad I'm going to need for this is going to be. Okay, maybe some people do that, but by and large it's a case of get a salt and pepper shaker, fill it up with capacitors, shake it over the board, and that there is your required number of capacitors, unless testing says otherwise. Because this poor CPU has already been subjected to a lot of unwanted, I mean, like, yeah, it's melted through that. It's made the edge bonding all hard, so I don't want to put it through that any further. Hey Guzman44. If it wasn't already damaged, then I would go ahead and redo it. But sometimes you got to just accept that maybe it's been pushed a little bit too far. It's kind of like when you're in a relationship and you're the needy one and you keep making excuses to see the person or something, and every time you kind of like, oh, I kind of push my luck a little bit there and wait at least 2-3 hours more before you contact him again. Yeah, it's no fun being in those kind of relationships. It's when you know it's really not going to last, but you keep telling yourself otherwise. You go, I'll come up with something really smart to say and they'll fall in love with me even more. So no, it's doomed. There's no balance there, you know it. You're just kidding to yourself that it's going to last. You're in a sympathy relationship. They're just in a relationship because they're sympathetic too, but that's going to wear out real soon. Maybe we all don't go through that, but some of us do. Hey Marcel, you do mental graphics and hyperlinks. Okay, I do. Hyperlinks can be read by Flex Boardview. So can GenCAD and IPC 365 and what else we got? We've got a few others. Hey ITM2, I'll put you to sleep. Oh, very sorry about that. Would you like me to be a little more invigorating? So we use our water and alcohol mix to get this coffee off, or whatever it is. Because alcohol alone will not get that off. You really need the water to act as a solvent for it. And then the alcohol just does the job sterilizing and drying off a little bit quicker. Okay, that's good. This is primarily going to be for testing. We'll have to take this off because this poor thing needs to go in for an ultrasonic, unquestionably. Oh, g'day Homer. Damn it. Jim Hook and an aneurysm in the left arm and short-sighted. Oh man. Aneurysms, scary stuff. Was that like I suppose it was in your eye and not your brain, but even still. I know when you get them in your brain, it's like a thunderclap in your head. Now the worst thing about this is, of course, it's an intermittent fault, so we're not really guaranteed to be able to outright know that it's working. This is going to be one of those ones where you test it for 6 weeks under the most grueling conditions known to mankind. Ah, jeez. Why do people do this? Let's see if we can get this. Look at that. Why do people do that? Why do people bend the hell out of these heatsink tubes? Please don't do that. Please stop doing that. Don't bend the tubes. They fatigue, and then the heat transfer juice leaks out, and they don't work anymore. So please don't bend the tubes. I know why it gets done, because people try to get the boards out without having properly unscrewed everything. Because it's easy, yeah. It's also wrong. So very wrong. I mean, I get it. I understand. Now, these are like the hellish. These are like the miniature versions of the hellish 1502s. It still doesn't make it right. Anyway, we'll knock all the dust bunnies out of that. It's like Watership Down in the MacBook. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie Watership Down, don't see the movie Watership Down unless you want to cry, okay? It's that simple. And that was the cartoon version. From, I don't know, what was that, 1970 or something? You think you're going to hold out, you're going to be okay, and then you get to the end and you cry. It's like, damn you, Watership Down. It's as bad as crying at the end of Gladiator. Okay, I have to captain tape these. Cried at King Kong. I haven't seen King Kong, so I'll avoid that one now. Jonathan, I cannot state such things. That's client attorney privilege, I guess. There's an imaginary sign on the heatsink tube saying lift here. It's kind of like an aircraft wings where they say do not step. I can't believe I'm having to use captain tape just to put this back together. Crying beats clapping anytime. Certainly for the emotional feels, the intensity, I guess. Went and saw Ford versus Ferrari last week. Okay, I had contemplated that, basically because it's got Matt Damon in it. I see Christian Bale's in it too. I think the last movie I really enjoyed of Christian Bale's was Equilibrium. That was... let's see. And then the person who did Equilibrium, they gave him a nice big fat budget, and then they created Ultraviolet, which was terrible. Because all they did is essentially repeat... oh, I've left the fans out. Thank you, everybody. You made me leave the fans out. Now I'm going to have to lift here. I mean, it's understandable to pick the board up using that technique, but to actually force it so hard that it ends up bending the tube, that's some extra special superpower strength. Yeah, Travis, Equilibrium was a very good, in my opinion, film. especially considering that the budget was done on. And I think that's the trouble is you get these films that they're on budget, relative budget, and so the creative process is much better because they've got to squeeze out as much as they can. And they go, oh, that was a great movie, alright, let's give you a whole bunch more money. And then people just get drunk on the money. And they go, I'm just going to repeat what I did with the other one and use the different characters and do all the same stunts. And so we saw that in the previous movie, don't do that again. I think it's kind of why The Matrix was doomed after the first one. It's like, how do you top The Matrix, the first one? You just can't. Well, maybe you can, but we just don't know what it is yet. Yeah, well, that's just it, Nick Facey. It's like, yes, you can lift them if you use caution and you understand the limitations of the metal, what it can and can't support. But these people really must be reaping at them to get them to distort to that degree. Because remember, that distortion there, that's the return state after you've already extended it well beyond that. So, they've done a top-class job. Bravo. I say bravo. The quantum matrix, oh yeah. Neither here nor there. It's only good if you don't look at it. Huh, yes. What an awful, awful little board you are. Okay, it's not your fault you're a complete and utter horrible child of a motherboard, but it is. And I really hate how you try to get these keyboard flexes back in, but you just don't have the room to line them up initially without bending them. Mate of mine did the helicopter crash and other special effects in the Matrix. Oh, cool, Jim. That's pretty awesome. Did they do the effects in Australia, or I know they shot it in Sydney and all that, but I don't know about the effects. Well, that's pretty awesome. You're talking about like when the helicopter hits the building and it does the ripple effect and then shatters, stuff like that. Schrodinger's Matrix franchise is dead if you watch it. Yeah. The more creativity in these comments than there are in the movie. So what do they think? After 20 years we're going to forgive them for what they did with 2 and 3? Especially when they pulled the whole religious tilt on it. So you didn't have to do that. Could have left it be. I was kidding, Swiftwick. There really wasn't a 2 or 3. No, it's all a lie. Someone just took the blue pill. Okay. Don't think I'll bother connecting the battery on this. I'm not even sure if it needs it. This is almost as bad as the 1706s and such for the time required to put it all back together. Now the reason why I'm screwing that heatsink down is because I do want this to have the best cooling it can get. Okay, why don't you want to go in there? What have I done? What have I missed? Other than just everything not being lined up. $155 peeps? No, my record is like 600 and something. YouTube algorithm got messed up. Sent over a whole bunch of people it probably shouldn't have. That doesn't feel right down there. Alright. Famous last words. We will... Let's see. So it's 3462. Will this run MRI? I have a feeling this might run MRI. Might. Okay, Givney, thank you for dropping in. Well, we're booting. Let's see how we go. And Peter Crystal. Now this MRI does take a little while to actually come up and boot. Hopefully. I've got full fan spin and everything. I haven't got a bong yet though. There we go, yeah. That got a little unnerving. Had me panicking slightly. Yes, I'm really not sure. Well, motherboard's got issues, everything's got issues here. Camera's got issues, yeah, it's not connected. Yeah, it's interesting, it's claiming the SD card's got issues, but then again, maybe this MRI isn't compatible with this board. Still, it's 2012, so it should be. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what it's saying the problem is. It could be because I haven't connected everything up. But I gotta admit, it's a little strange. It's complaining about the Wi-Fi and everything, and yet that is definitely connected. Did I miss a flex? Oh, here we go. Okay, so what do you think's wrong with the main board? SD board not detected. Fair enough. Yeah, that is actually weird though. Yeah, SD, Bluetooth, all that sort of stuff. Right, kill that. Like I said, it's a little weird because as far as I know that it should be connected there. That's it there. And the power flex as far as I know is connected too. I mean, sure, it's got a bunch of awful junk over it, but nothing out of the ordinary. Actually, there's some marks there that look like something might have attacked it. Is that corrosion I see? That's corrosion. Is it? No? Yes? Maybe? Yeah, that's corrosion. And the yeah, that pin's bugger. Bugger. Damn it, we just put that whole damn board back in too. What's that ITM2? You're saying these flexes are always bad? Well, it doesn't help when the connector's bad too. I don't swear like Lewis. No, it's not generally in my behaviour to do so. Never has been. I mean, if I got to put on a show, fine, maybe I might. Maybe like if I'm downtown and I'm worried that the locals are catching on that I'm actually not one of them, then I'll switch over into incognito mode and start swearing and drinking, just to stop them from trying to attack me and kick me out of town. And you think I'm joking, but the funny thing is, when I first came here, and I spotted my wife, I was here barely an hour, and I went down to the squash courts for sport, because I love my squash, and unfortunately I don't get to play it anymore because they took the squash courts away, but that's beside the point. Anyway, went down to the squash courts, and the receptionist there at the gym, I walked in, I was like, whoa, hello there. And my very first thoughts that I remember are, well, I wonder if this is my wife to be. Lo and behold, it was. So it's a cute little romantic story. What's disgusting about it is that it's actually true. Anyway, some of the other fine young fellows in town, fine young cannibals, didn't really approve of the fact that this weirdo from South Africa, who was actually an Australian riding around on a motorbike, had turned up in town and I was stealing their girl. They were like, that gay bastard stealing our girl. Yeah, I know, there's an irony in that, but that's their words. So I wake up one morning and that left me a dead kangaroo on my driveway as a warding. Idiots. It certainly didn't get him the girl, that's for sure. Fun things you do when you're young. But yes, this town has some issues, like most towns. I can't believe I'm having to take that board out after all that work, and then I'm probably going to have to redo that connector. And that's really not going to be any fun at all. Fortunately, Travis, I will say that, not that it makes it any better, but the kangaroo was already deceased, because that's what happens around here on the roads. They get hit by trucks and stuff. So what they've done is they've gone out, found themselves a nice rotting, maggoty, blow-up corpse, and then kindly left it at my driveway. So this will be what becomes of you if you don't leave our chicks alone. Yeah. This is going to be a toughie. I say we try a flux and boil combined with a reconnection. because the corrosion's pretty bad, but it doesn't look like it's broken through any pins except maybe you right at the end there, you lousy little... Now I'll say it's a toughie because we've got this soft plastic power connector here. It's not even one of those temperature tolerant ones. Sonia, you're right. Small town syndrome issues. Yep, quite right you are. So I'll say we flux and boil. I'm thinking I'm going to have to protect that. I'm just not exactly sure how I'm going to best protect it. Yeah, you got to add flavour when it comes to roux steaks because roux steaks basically do not have flavour. Kangaroo is essentially flavourless for the most part. It's got absolutely no fat in it. It's kind of like ostrich. And so to make it tasty, you really got to drop in a whole bunch of fat stuff. Yeah, I can cover it in tape, but it's still going to melt under the tape a bit with the amount of heat that I'm probably going to need. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out at 250 just to get that, maybe we'll go iPhone temperatures here, 420 and 60, and at least we're behind the connector. I was thinking some captain tape with a metal shield above the captain tape. That was my plan. I think I'm going to need the alternate tip here. Why not heat from below? Let's see, we've got our flash memory there. Yeah, no. This is going to be a pin by pin job. Might try lift it up though. Just to give it a little bit more of a tilt. Give me a chance of actually seeing what I'm doing. Kitchen aluminium foil. It's probably not a bad idea. Anyway, let's see how we go here. If this connector needs replacing, then basically I'll have to pretty much end up replacing that, I guess. I don't even have a replacement for this. This is not a board I have in stock. And with good reason. Oh, you're not even trying, soldering tip. I'm fairly sure it's that pin that's actually at fault. That top one. And surprise, frickin' surprise. It is 3V42. On the other hand, it is on 68 as well, so we could bridge those two maybe. Steve, the tip's clean, it's just... The problem is, see, clean tip. I'm just... There's a whole bunch of corrosion in there, that's the problem. So I need to revitalize the... Let's see, X-Acto knife and hot air. You can see maybe, well I don't know if you can, but the corrosion coming out as I chip away at it. What's this bottom one here? Let's see, what are you? PM Sleep S3L, I'm actually surprised about that. Oh yeah, that one's corroded away quite badly. And I would not have expected that. Oh wait, no, that's a ground one, sorry. Just gonna bend that back into place. Maybe I shouldn't. Choices. Major Sport, A1425, Core i5, 2. Any idea what board? I don't know what that one is. Off the direct, yeah, I don't know by the number, other than A1425. And for all I know, the flex is dead anyway on this. Oh, I think that's a loose one. You're loosey-goosey? No. You're just corroded and nasty. Alrighty. Need a fine tip brush. Probably need something more than that, but yeah. I could do with something like a KN or a KU tip as well, instead of this JSO2. I do have a chisel tip, but the radius on the tip of it is worse than the this one, so I may as well just carry on with this one. Damn it. 2 seconds into it and I've already touched the damn... Give me some heat. better. Yeah, no, I've got solder on the side now. I can deal with that later. Contact pins look corroded? Yeah, they're all corroded. To some degree. Crap. Okay, the 3V42 and the end ground here are going to need help as well. It's better. Yeah, might actually be possible now. Preheaters are nice if you can get them to fit in the areas and whatnot, and you don't have too many obstructions stopping the transfer of heat. But I gotta admit, you know, using the hot air on the side works pretty damn good. Nice thing is you can direct it to just one little area that you want. Now the thing I've got to watch out for here is I don't have any shorts on the It didn't look like there were any issues with the actual... Yeah, that ground one's a little sus. Well, it doesn't look like any of them are actually contacting any of the pins, so that's okay. Is that a bridge? We've got a very slight bridge in there. Gotta get that out. Between the second and third of the second section. It's interesting, you wouldn't see it from this angle. But the bridge is right there. Like I said, you can't see it from this angle. Catherine, no. Well, certainly hope not since I've been here tonight. Oh, I went from a maybe bridge to an absolute bridge now. Okay, probably cleared out. Sorry, Catherine, I try not to think about that sort of stuff while I'm working. Otherwise, I get into a bit of a panic. Okay, the rest of that's going to be cleared out in ultrasonic. Let's have a look at that flex. The flex is shit, mate. Yeah, that's crap. Very dead flex. Alright. Oh, and it's been snapped off too. Yep. Well, that's definitely going to need replacing, so that's another part for the list. Complete junk. That's okay, Catherine. I just thought, in case you were wondering why I was seeming to avoid the question and stuff like that, that's just why. Alrighty. Well, I suppose we can still run some tests on this. We just can't do anything with the SD, the Wi-Fi, and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't stop us at least putting it partially back together and running something like Valley test or whatever while we wait. I need to change my gloves, they're a little bit too sticky now. Tapping on the what? Oh, pin was going on about 1278, I'm guessing. As soon as anyone says tapping on the RAM slots, it's most likely a 1278 or that sort of type board. ZX. You'll learn that MacBooks are actually far more sane to work on than PCs after a while. So the difference between a nice 6800 instruction set versus the god-awful Z80 or Intel instruction sets. Of course, the 6800s did pay for their lovely instruction set later when they went to an expand, but yeah, that's all the trade-offs that you deal with. And in the end, the world has now got the complete and utter bastardized Intel IA64, well, not actually IA64, AMD64. IA64 is what's known as the Titanium, which truly is a horrible, unfortunate chip, because they thought that software compiling would make up in great leaps and bounds and come up with an intelligent way of ensuring that all the pipes were kept filled, and then they found they couldn't do that. And so the IA64 sank down like the Titanic that it was. The hole in the BGA looks scary. What one was this? I don't know, I've obviously missed something again. Okay, I'll put that in a second. Where's my third piece of Captain? Hey, rescue. Yeah, well, we've got a bad crossover flex, a bridging flex, and well, we fixed up the socket. It's also the flex itself needs replacing. I am thankful though that the flex, given that it broke where it did and split apart, I'm thankful that it did it on the flex rather than on the board. It saves me having to, you know, put a new connector on. The second worst case scenario I would take is if it was the daughter board that had the damaged socket, in which case we'll just replace the daughter board. think there's a temperature sensor on the RIO right. Oh, that's maybe an issue. Oh, great. Thanks, Panov. I'll keep an eye on it. As long as it doesn't cause it to slow down or anything, but then again it probably will, since it's probably going to be monitored. Guess we'll find out, Panov. Guess we'll find out. I don't know why I bother connecting the speakers. Maybe it gives an opportunity to hear the MacBook scream in agony when it turns on. Like a demon soul resurrected and hailed from the dead. Screaming out, why? I was happily dead. I'm a 1425. You should have let me die in peace. Now you brought me back. And if I'm lucky, the Winchesters will turn up and throw salt around and say funny words. Actually, if the supernatural people did turn up, it'd be Castiel I'd want to see. Ah, come on. Come on. There we go. Screaming like Oreo getting butt wiped by Lewis. Well, does Oreo chuck a fit, does he? Oreo will be happy once Erica gets back in town. So will Lewis. Lewis will be happy too. Or he better be. Well, we'll see if we can get it to boot with this external USB drive. We'll make it run some tests. Let's see, option. What the heck? That was weird. I just felt a rumbling or something. I'm going to guess that the speaker is completely dead on this. And that rumbling that I felt was a speaker cone that's been shredded, and it was just the driver vibrating back and forth. It'll explain why I don't hear a bong, that's for sure. Yeah, that's what it is. The speaker's dead. Come to think of it, that makes me think I had someone send me a job request, and in the job request they said it vibrates in the keyboard area, and I thought, what on earth would be doing that? Yeah, and I think that's what it is. I think if the interconnecting cone breaks down, then you're left with this driver sitting in the middle just freely vibrating around. Boris, no. Yeah, Paul S. is the guy that works in New York with Lewis. He's the military guy. He's the guy that will kill you in 2 seconds. He's the smart one. Hence, he is the Walter White of board repair. Me, I'm just some flat earth faker in a non-existent country called Australia. It's still booting, it's just taking its time, it seems. Ah, there we go. I'll be sure not to run the audio section of the valley test. I wonder how hard the speakers are to replace on this thing, let alone if you can even get them. Can you even get batteries for these? Sound like the Mac. You're quite right, ZX. It did sound like that, yes. Okay, no Wi-Fi. We've got our temperature sensors here. Assuming it comes up. There we go. Airport proximity 128, so yeah, that would be... Let's pick up Valley. It's common for the speakers to go bad. The 1425 model sold a lot of 1425 speakers on eBay. It goes for about 20 quid a set. Oh, okay, cool. Good to know. I'll put this down as being something that needs to be replaced by the person who sent this to me. Okay, so what frames per second are we going to go for this having? You poor, poor computer. Did it kill it? No. Okay, we've muted it. Oh, Keith, you missed everything. You missed the $1 million giveaway too. Alright, well, it's a little slow and stuttery. We're doing about 5 frames per second, but it is running. The temperature is actually quite low. It's only about 47, which is quite a bit lower than I was expecting. It's on vibrate, yeah. Quality is medium. Six frames per second. It's terrible. Minus 2 frames per second. Does that mean it plays backwards? Well, it is running at least. So yeah, I think in spite of everything else that was wrong on this board, you know, all the other little bits and pieces of junk, I would say the intermittent nature of it predominantly came from the fact that that current sense was dodgy. It wasn't even soldered on, so yeah. Let's see, we can have a look at what that was. If I can even remember now. Ah, here we go, yeah. So U5410 PDF. High side current sense source, IOOR, PPV and S5, HS. Okay, so that was basically the whole system. So if that was being intermittent, touching here and there, then that'll explain why it was. And it was these pins here, 2 and 3, so ground and 3V3 SO. Yeah, interesting it worked even at all. It was pin 1. Reference, yeah, that would have been a real mess. Okay. So when you last looked, batteries were available. Were stories galore of dodgy ones. Oh, okay, great. So trying to find a good one's going to be near impossible. Have you turned it into a fart book? Yes, it has definitely become a fart book. It blew the speakers one too many times, too hard, and became a fart book. Yeah, definitely dodgy. Alright, well, it is now well past my bedtime. It's actually 11:45 now. You got to realise that I'm now getting up at 4:30 in the morning, so This is going to be a rough day first thing in the morning. I'll be sitting there looking very bleary-eyed with my coffee as the sun rises, as the kitties run around all happy because of the fact that I finally got up. So thank you everyone for watching. I think we can pretty much say this one's fixed. We just got to get that new crossover flex and put it through the ultrasonic. I think it'll live for another 12 months maybe, I don't know. The batteries on them, there's no puffing up at the packs yet, so fingers crossed they live for another 12 months, 24 months, because I can't imagine it being nice. And of course we'll get the new speakers for it. So thank you everyone for watching. Don't let the dingoes bite. I'll catch you next time.